Welcome to another episode of What is Your Mountain? Today, we're honored to be joined by Mark Oliver, an elite gymnast turned financial advisor with a story rooted in perseverance. What began as an unexpected introduction to gymnastics evolved into a pursuit of the Olympic dream, shaping Mark's mindset both in athletics and in life. In this conversation, we'll explore how the discipline, setbacks, and triumphs of his athletic journey have influenced his career in finance. Join us as we dive deep into Mark's inspiring path and the mountains he's climbed along the way. Hey, Mark, good afternoon. How you doing?
Hello, Joe McQuaid. Doing great. Looking forward to this. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for being on the next episode of What is Your Mountain? But before I jump into it, I do want to talk about you've climbed a lot of mountains in your life, right? And we're going to focus on a couple in particular today. But there's one that you just recently kind of got to the summit of $500 million in assets under management. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. You know, it's been a goal, of course. That's and it
Yeah.
feels like halfway up the mountain. The
Yeah.
goal is written down 1 billion, and we're halfway there. It was 502. We hit that the other day. Market movement may have taken us right below a little bit. I don't know, but we're
That's okay.
working on the summit. Going to the
Yeah.
summit. 1 billion.
100%.
Yeah,
Sometimes the weather's a little bit choppy. You got to take a couple steps down, go to a lower camp, and then you go back up again. So
yeah. I get.
excellent, excellent. So, um, I do want to jump into the topic today, which is another mountain that is incredible to me, and I think your story is also incredible. But it's gymnastics, and the level that you hit is incredible, and we'll learn a little bit more about that in a second. But let's kind of go back to the beginning, which ironically enough, I don't think is all that early in your life like others. So, how did gymnastics kind of first enter your life, and at what age?
Yeah. So the how is probably a lesson in and of itself. So I remember the day, July 21st, 1984. I'm jumping around in Lake Washington here in Washington near Seattle, the big lake around here.
Yeah.
And I jumped on a bottle. It popped into the arch of my foot. And I ended up having surgery. So I get into the ER and they say, move your big toes. And both of them. And so my left foot big toe bends. The other one doesn't even move. Like, oh, you probably cut your flexor tendon. We got to go in. And they went in, they couldn't find it. And they say there's one other place we can look for it. Obviously, I was out totally, but they cut in your ankle to see if it snapped back there. They found it there, pulled it back down. They said putting it back together is like trying to tie a paintbrushes together. Like they're just, and so, but they got it together. But guess what? Can anyone, you do recall, Joe, what happened July of 1984 as well? While I was laying in bed healing,
Yeah.
I watched the men win the Olympic gold. It was
Okay.
eighth, seventh grade. That, like you said, much later. Usually, kids, especially in like back then, CCCP, Soviet Union, they're starting at age 2, 3, all
Yeah.
of that. I'm like, wait a second, I'm 5'6". Back then I wasn't 5'6". I was shorter than that even. Now I'm 5'6". It was like, I'm not going to do basketball. That looks really cool. So the lesson that I was alluding to earlier is, man, it seemed like such a bad thing. But without that experience, that was the spark that got it going. And so it's sort of like that. We've all heard um, is it the horse story where, there's that farmer and his son falls off a horse, breaks his arm, and it's like, oh no, that's so bad. Everyone else saying, yeah, so bad. But then they come to recruit and he's, your arm's broken. We can't recruit you to go to war. Oh, lucky you and all of that. So I look back on it in the moment. Obviously, I'm laying like, this is the worst. I was supposed to go to all city swimming that summer with my team. Couldn't do that. But wait a second, without that. So the conclusion to all of that is, seriously, Joe, if you ask me right now, go back in time, don't jump on that bottle. What do? I jump on that bottle.
That's amazing. That's a great story, and I do relate to that a little bit. As many of the listeners know, that I plan on climbing Mount Everest one day, and I've been there a couple times, and I've already done some training. But that's how that goal hit my mind too. Is watching the IMAX movie about Mount Everest, and I watched the movie. I was all in awe, and I said, I'm gonna climb that mountain one day. And I had never ever step foot on another mountain in my life. So that's
Um,
amazing. W-
Seriously, Joe, I loved hearing that. I'm so thankful to be here, and just I feel like I want to interview you based on your bucket list checking the box speaker at the concurrent event a number of months ago, which was incredible. But I'm like, man, I got to talk to this guy. We didn't get a chance to do that, but I watched that Everest IMAX movie. I think it might have even debuted here in Seattle because that's at IMAX with was it Scott Fisher and those that did
Scott Fisher,
some of
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
the.
Mountain Madness.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and, Beast I have with, Ed Viesturs, I spent a little bit of time with him as well, going up was it 4 times no oxygen Everest, and he said,
yep.
"Take a breathe, like, I don't know how many times, another step," but your story, that is exciting, the Everest story, so I get it.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. So now we know when gymnastics entered your life. Now, by the way, how old were you when this all happened?
13, so
13. And
yeah.
only a couple of years later, you were at the level to potentially be on the Olympic team. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say so. 88. So I started, 84. I couldn't just jump right back into it because an injury
Right.
like that takes, a year. I mean, it's a year or so. So I didn't just jump right back. Yeah, I did swimming
Yeah.
and soccer, but I knew at the back of my mind, man, that's my thing. That it chose me. And that's another big, big part of my story and things I've learned over 54 years of life is this. Man, the best things in life choose you. You don't choose them. Whether it's a sport, a relationship, your major, your career. Man, if you manipulate that like artificially and try to manufacture or do it because your parents want you to do something or friends or social, you're going to burn out. You're not going to achieve your full potential. There was something inside of me. It wasn't like I woke up one day and said, I really want to do tennis, but I'm going to make myself do gymnastics. No, I answered the call. It was like
Yeah.
there. So when I could finally get going on it, at about age 14, you know, that was like 85, 86.
Yeah.
Um, I had 88 was Seoul Olympics. And I knew I wouldn't be good. I mean, these guys, I wasn't going to be good enough, but man, that I wore the Seoul shirt around like Olympics. I wanted to go to the Olympics. But in my mind, I knew it wasn't, I was, just starting high school, it wasn't going to happen. But it's always been the Olympics. It's never just been to stay in shape. It's not just, see how good you can get. It was so specific. The first thing I saw every day waking up and the last thing I saw every day before I went to bed, I could show you some pictures from my room.
Yeah.
The Olympic flags ring on my ceiling. Last thing I saw before I went to sleep. First thing I saw, I woke up. Big Olympic rings flag up on my ceiling. You have to surround yourself with the things that remind you of the goals in your life. Just maybe one day I'll get a chance, Joe, to show you. You got to make sure your ecosystem, your environment is pointing you in that direction to the summit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that visualization is powerful. And even one of the things we said in the beginning of this conversation, you're going to grow to $1 billion. That's the vision, right? You're only halfway there right now. So if we dive a little bit deeper into that, so you have the vision, you got the Olympic rings up on the wall, but what's your daily routine like to get to that level in which some people would say an incredibly short amount of time?
Yeah, and that is actually what was even like now when we have like reunions. We just had a 75th Washington Men's Gymnastics 75th anniversary Washington Men's Gymnastics banquet here, where we brought back multi generations of all gymnasts and all of that. And one of the things my
Yeah,
coach mentioned when he talked about me was just how quickly that happened. But it happened because man, the fire was burning hot. I was the most of us listening to this are probably familiar with accounting, the Philo method,
yeah,
which is first in, last out. My coach talked about that first there, last out, not because I had to be, because I couldn't help it. I could not help. I wanted to be there. And that's because it chose me. I didn't choose it. And that keeps you from burning out. If it's something inside of you, oh man, that's even so. The next thing was 92 Barcelona. That was a possibility. And I was
yeah,
like, okay, this is possible. And I actually made the Olympic qualification meets there. They take about the top 50 or so. Then from there, they narrow it down to the top
yeah,
six alternates. So if you Google, I'm not part of the team that made it, but to 92 Barcelona. But I was outside of that group. And I said, that's okay. I'm still young. I was in college, but I continued to train after college. And spent some time at the Olympic Training Center, which is another part of what I'll mention here in a little bit about if you do want to reach your summit, what it's important, in my opinion, to do. I said, 96, Atlanta, boom, let's go. And so all day, every day. So my routine, everything is around that, but it doesn't feel like I'm being regimented or routined, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger's talked about, there's so much freedom and discipline. When you know what you're gonna do, just think if you woke up today and you're like, I don't know if I want to climb a mountain or if I should go golfing or maybe I should go hang out, with this person. Like that is so not okay. To me, it just when you know what you're supposed to do, it doesn't feel like discipline, doesn't feel like routine, doesn't feel
Yeah.
regimented, doesn't feel hard. It just comes naturally. So everything was built around what I'm eating, when I'm sleeping, 2
Yep.
workouts a day. You have your morning workout, you come in, you do your 4 hours a day later in the day because in men's gymnastics, there's 6 events. You have to it's not just
Yeah.
like mastering one thing. It's like 6 events. It's so the Olympic rotation is floor exercise, pommel horse, rings, vault, parallel bars, high bar. So, and not only are there 6 events, but there's 6 compulsory events that every gymnast vying for the Olympic Games must do their best to master. Everyone does the
Right.
same routine. You also have 6 optional routines that you do on each. So 12 total. And the thing that I realized looking back about gymnastics, I swam competitively and I did. You are literally falling down, like on the mat face down. And there's this thing about you have to like physically get back up, almost like falling off the mountain and getting back on, like literally rolling down the mountain. Like you have to get back up and it changes something in you where failure, stumbling, 2 steps back, or, whatever that is, it just becomes who you are. Initially, it feels like a fall, but then it becomes part of the process. That
Yeah.
falling and laying mat and getting back up getting back on the horse, pommel horse, literally like get it back on the horse. My wife watched some videos here a while back of me doing stuff. She's like, man, like there's 100 times you just fell off on that same move, get back up and do it again. That is became part of the resilience, or because
Yeah.
we're all getting hit storms on the mountain or off the mountain. And
Absolutely.
56, and just to close out that Olympic pursuit loop, I ended up going against the qualification meets. Was super close. I remember my last I just, it was vault because you rotate all the way through and end up on vault. I was like, man, I just want to stand up this time. I knew I probably hadn't qualified, but I wanted to stand it up. I knew I was going to be done. And I was already
Yeah.
interested in finance at that point. I had done a business degree and finance degree. And I was like, I want to go do this. But so I landed it, went over, hugged my coach. And man, Mark Russo, we were 2 hearts beating as one. That was our goal. And you need to, I'll go back to kind of surrounding yourself with the kind of right people. But yeah, so that's kind of the Olympic pursuit. Didn't make it, but super close. Learned a lot.
Little fact, I attended the 1996 Olympics with my dad, and saw a bunch of events, and
Oh,
that was an amazing experience for me, and my father. Yep.
yes, so
Yeah.
good.
Um, so let's talk about that last comment that you made, because this has come up quite a bit on other guests on the podcast, and you had mentioned it earlier on as well. So let's talk about surrounding yourself with, obviously in this case it's a coach, but it could be in a professional instance, it could be a mentor, it could be a father, it could be a spouse or somebody. Like, how did you surround yourself with a group of individuals that could keep you and hold you accountable?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with a little story that, yes,
Right.
I was doing this, surrounding myself with, I think, people that, I'm a believer there's iron sharpens iron. So one man sharpens another. It matters who you surround yourself with. So, um, I didn't realize this as much when I was kind of in the forest training, but I had breakfast. This is my little story here I'll share with you. I had breakfast with the CFO of Microsoft a number of years ago. And here's what he said. He said, Mark, show me the people you're hanging out with and the books you're reading. I'll tell you where you'll be in 5 years. Like, interesting. It helped me develop what I call my GIGO theory. I have 3 kids. They're probably sick of the GIGO theory, but it's an acronym, GIGO. And it stands for, we've all heard different iterations of this, but it's garbage in, garbage out, good in, good out. And it matters. So, for instance, if you want to get to the Olympic Games in gymnastics, don't just hang out at Planet Fitness or the local high school. Go to the Olympic Training Center if you can get there and surround yourself with other people who want to get to the Olympics.
Yeah.
No different in our careers now. You have to be surrounded. I mean, everything matters. Like, what you're putting in, that whole, and so GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, good in, good out, comes down to what you're eating, who you're hanging out with, what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're reading, all of that moves you in that direction. And there's not usually one big thing that says, oh, because you were around that one person or read that one book or this, you're going to make your goals. It's all these little things because anyone can apply GIGO for a year or two. That's easy. Can you do it for a decade or two? That's what matters.
Yeah.
That's hard. And so it's it's longer term, and so it's little. You don't have one epic workout and say that got me to the Olympics. It's 10
Yeah.
years of consistency, working out and surrounding yourself with the right people. What you're putting in your body matters. I write down to like the water you drink. Let me grab this here. Perhaps some of you listening to this have seen this. You know where I'm going with this, probably. Joe, do you know how to identify good water from bad water when you're walking through like the airport? And you look over the Hudson News, you see all these waters lined up, and you have all these different, lined up in the refrigerated case. So you know how to identify good water?
I don't think I know the answer to this one.
Okay, well, here we go. What color's the cap on this guy?
Black.
Black. So black cap water, and I remember our bodies are 67% water, so it's pretty foundational. Black cap water means high pH, high electrolytes, BPA free, chlorine's been taken out, garbage water. What does it have? You go like, I don't want to throw anyone on the bus, but like, Costco's, it's clear cap. It's kind of like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
white cap. Yeah. And it doesn't mean it's not going to kill you, but all these little things matter. And so eat healthfully, care about that, and so the water, put that, the good stuff in if you can. So all of that.
That's that's amazing. Of all the things that I try to follow, I never heard that.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
that's great.
Next time I see you, I hope you're pulling the black cap water.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I'm holding a black cap.
Just make note.
Exactly. What what was the proudest moment that you had in your gymnast career in your pursuit for the Olympics?
Hmm. I feel like if I were to look at my journey in gymnastics over a long period of time, I don't feel like it feels really steady. Like there's not any spot. I feel more like a bond. I was like a fixed income guy. Like
Yeah.
it's these spikes and volatility. I'm thinking that through,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like step by step, and each step was so exciting. Like I love the moment. I love the pursuit. It's almost like, not that I'm thankful that I didn't, but if I qualified like that first go round, I might not been, in 92
Yeah.
Barcelona. I don't know how the fire, how stoked it would have been for that next 4 years, because I just like, I love the pursuit and I love that. And so a highlight, well, um, I do remember I held my first Iron Cross. And just so you know, that's a pretty low level skill. Like they have and that's on rings, right? Boom, it's
Yeah.
straight out.
Yeah.
But it's actually, most people think, whoa, an Iron Cross. But they have A, B, C, and D, and actually E level skills. It's considered a B. A is the easiest, E is the most difficult. It was part of the compulsory. But I worked on it for so many years, and finally, boom, locked in, held it. That was cool because it's kind of this iconic position in gymnastics. Once you got that, and part of it comes with maturity. You're not going to see a 5-year-old holding that or a 10-year-old holding that.
Yeah.
If you can, your body matures too. But I do remember that in the gym. Remember where I was, like bang, and you hit it and you just lock it out, and hello, and you got an Iron Cross. So that's
That's
some distance.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So all of this discipline, all of this preparation obviously has also bled into your career as a financial advisor. Could you talk about, how some of those skills you now practice every single day?
Yeah. So very specifically, I can, I think. So when I started at Merrill Lynch, 96, December 2nd, um, and eventually decided a better way to do business. I still really appreciate Merrill Lynch. Thankful. I thought I would stay with them. Like they trained me so well. I thought it'd be. I actually wrote down back then when I first got. I want to be the CEO of Merrill Lynch by age 40. I wrote it down. Still have it. All of that. Talked to the guy that hired me. That was the goal. My ink blotter still has the Executives Club Merrill Lynch there. I still even have the Merrill Lynch bull sitting on my desk. So I'm just glad I didn't get like a Merrill Lynch tattoo bull on me. It's like, oh no, now what do I do?
Yeah,
But um, how it applies to what I do now, starting all over capital management, like, wow, I know who I am. What what can I bring to the table that not everyone else brings to the table based on my background and experiences, especially in gymnastics? You know what I put as my moniker, Joe? And if you walk in my office right now, I started with, it says this under all over capital management, under it, it says this: attention to detail, discipline, and structure. Is that not gymnastics? I mean, trying to
Yeah.
score the perfect 10, point your toes, stick the landing, attention to detail, and
Yep.
discipline and structure. You need both those things in gymnastics to get to the Olympics. What is oftentimes lacking in most people's financial lives? Attention to detail, discipline, and structure. Let me be the coach for that. My coach and I would sit down every 4 years, write down our goal between the Olympics. What do we need to do to get there? Give us the best possible chance. And I tell this exact story to clients when I'm sitting with them. I say, let me be the coach. I'm the accountability guy now. I am not all about fun, but I'm going to provide the attention to detail, discipline, and structure that's oftentimes lacking that will hopefully give you the peace of mind that we now have a plan. The 3x5 note cards were so helpful that my coach gave me literally that we would write it. This is what we're doing today. I knew what I was doing. I was like, maybe today I'll do this event or that event, and maybe I'll work strength, maybe I'll work flexibility. No, I knew I had a good coach. And as long as their heart is in the right place and it's aligned with the goal, and it's clear, the goal is clear, the 92 Olympics, the 96 Olympics, let's go. And that's why I ask my clients, what is your Olympic games? I literally ask them that. What is it? I'm going to write it down. I'm going to put an empty box next to it, and I'm going to apply the attention to detail, discipline, and structure that I have learned through my decades of training for the Olympics. I'm now the coach in that
Yeah.
space there. Let me do that for you. There's a third part that I want to add that doesn't really have a lot to do with my, maybe it does, but my Olympic training, and some of the Ironman training that perhaps we'll get into as well.
Yeah.
But guess what I did, Joe? After a few years of Oliver Capital Management that started, 20 some years ago, 2000 July 2003, I actually ripped off attention to detail, discipline, and structure. And not because I didn't think that was still important, because I put that back up, but I added a third piece to the moniker. Now, when you walk through here, you're going to see a third part. And here's what it says: it says world class service. The reason I
Yeah.
did that is because I actually started after years of providing the best that I had for my clients. They would talk more about world-class service. They wouldn't necessarily articulate attention to detail, discipline, structure. I know they appreciated it and it was helpful and they needed it, but they would talk about world-class service. And now, like when I talk to other, whether it's potential advisors, mentoring, and all of that, I say, if you do just one thing, you don't have to outperform. You don't have to have the best asset allocation. You don't have to have everything. It doesn't have to be perfect. But if you can do one thing, man, you will have way too much business. And that's my problem. That's why I partner with Concurrent, because they're going to help with my stacks and the things that,
Yeah.
I can't get to. But world-class service, get back to people quickly. Do what you say you're going to do. You're done. They will love you. Even if you underperform, you're doing your saying and you get back to them quickly, emails, calls, all of that. That is most important. And when I had 100 million, I was really good at that, Joe. Man, I could like, boom, 200 million. Okay. Yeah. Because I am a solo advisor. I don't know if you're aware of that, but
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
it's 100% me. I'm a front desk person. It's all me, everything. Yes, I have a contract that helps with some ops and does all of that. And he's been
Yep.
I'm not want to minimize his help, but it's all me. I'm the only advisor. I don't have like a junior advisor or even like a secretary or assistant, but there's someone that's helpful. So 100 million, 200 million. Okay. I'm still pretty proactive, providing the world class service. 300 million. Oh man. Okay. Every once in a while I get that dreaded email, right? It pops up. It's like, just following up, making sure you got my email. I don't like seeing that, but my stack started, and now I'm becoming a bit too, reactive. And whereas I used to be much more proactive. And sorry if I said reactive earlier, I meant proactive. I used to be super proactive, 100 million, 200 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was like, man, I wasn't getting back to people as quickly as possible. 300 million, then I hit 400 million. It's like I need some help, and I was this close to signing with some of the other well-known Hightower, met with Bob Waros, Focus, all of that. They are a great company. I mean, but it's just like I wasn't ready to give up what I love, who I am, the gymnast that I am. I didn't want to change sports. Like I didn't want to change sports and wear the uniform of these other companies. Yet maybe I just wasn't there yet. And I literally had all the LOIs on my team. I could have signed them. So thankful that I found an interview, Nate Lenz. I found it I think it was Investment
Yeah.
News. He was being interviewed. I was like, wait a second. I reached out. Everyone was reaching out to me. You get all these emails. I still get them like almost every day. You get an email from people saying, oh, do you want to partner with us? This is like I reached out to like this. is this something that's actually truly different, or is it just on the surface that it's different?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, okay, I reached out, and then Mark Rossi, the guy, local guy that does the
Yeah.
kind of development here, I reached out late at night. He calls me right back. It's like, wow, that's cool. There's, proactiveness. That's world class service right there. I said, yeah, let's talk. That started the whole thing. Met with Nate out here. Mark, he flew out. We did that. I was like, with my wife, we're like, wow, this is something that could actually allow me to continue to be the gymnast that I am, who I am, without having to change all of this and continue to build. Because I'm not done building yet. If I go from 400 million at the time, and now it's been great. We're out, some market growth, new organic AUM. We're, like I said, or you said, 502, 500 million now.
Yeah.
Keep going. But one more double, so we did 100, doubled to two, two, doubled to four. Now we're at five,
Yeah.
one more double. We're there. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that, because the problem is, last thing I want to do is be one brick on, one brick off. And that's where I saw myself going. Like, you lose a good account, and I have extremely good retention, like, knock on wood, but like maybe one a year where I'd lose, but because I provide the world class service. And so I didn't want to do that for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I can do this for the next 30 years. And that's the plan. I didn't want to lose a client, get a good client, still be at 400 million in 5 years. That's not fun. So I
Yeah.
needed someone out and assist and come alongside. And I wanted to surround myself with other like-minded Olympians that want to get there and can help me summit. So that's
Yeah.
kind of yeah, it's a
Well,
lot.
well, we I'm excited that we're here to help you get there.
Mm.
I also am happy that I met Nate Lenz about 8, 9 years ago, and I think the next time you and I do a podcast, it needs to be when you cross that 1 billion
Oh, man,
mark. I think that would be exciting.
that's
So
tough.
so let's
Yeah.
let's make sure we mark that one down.
Yeah, and we can even maybe even do a little side clip showing this November 14th, 2025, video saying when we get to a billion, and bang, and
Yes.
then just, we're like,
Yeah.
here we
I
welcome,
can't I
how long
can't
do you
wait for
think?
that.
2 years, or 3 years, 5 or 1 year,
Yeah.
We'll,
That would be
we'll see
even
you,
better.
we'll see you
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd be
Yeah.
happy to do back-to-back podcasts with you if you hit
Yeah.
$1 billion next week.
I'm sure Kate, merchants, and everyone else would be pretty happy too.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And there's also
Um,
specific goals, Joe, on there's three parts to this goal. It's 1 billion in AUM, it's 8 million in gross revenue, and 5 million in net. It's 185. Boom.
Boom. Awesome.
Speci-
185.
Yep, specificity matters. It's not just I want to be good at gymnastics, it's I want to be in Barcelona in 92. What do I need to do to get there?
Yeah,
Right? Surround yourself with people that can help you get there. And that's what I feel like I've done with Concurrent. Oh man, so thankful. They do what they say they're going to do. I mean, that was it right there. Like, I'm just so thankful. And there's, like you said, Joe, the people I'm meeting, your meetings, like, what? You're world class. You're
yeah,
world class. You've been
yeah,
the peak. You've summited, gymnastics. You've summited MLB. You've summited mountains. You've done, like, wow, let's sharpen each other.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. You had mentioned this a little bit earlier before, and this is always one of my questions on the podcast is what's your next mountain?
Mm. Well, we've identified the 185, right? That is a
Yeah,
mountain, right? And it's pretty much
100%.
all, yeah, it's super consuming, but at least it's specified, and it's not easy. Like the Olympics wasn't, you don't just sign up for it. And you don't just say, I want to do it, and that gets you there. There's no guarantee that I get there. There's no guarantee that you summit any mountain, Joe. Like, but man, let's go for it. Let's risk something. For me, it's always been the pursuit. Not going to the Olympics, it changed who I was, my relationships, all of that. I'm okay with that, because being able to pursue, my dad has said before, there's two tragedies in life. Maybe it's overstating, but one is not achieving your goal, and the other is achieving it in a sense, right? It's like at the end of
Yeah,
the day, like, you don't have a goal. Like, I just want something hanging out there. So
cool.
that's but then it's also, there's also, the goal that kind of was after the Olympics. They called me, like I said, the best things in life, choose you, Ironman triathlon. I was
Yeah,
like, man, so that called me later in life, and partly to test my limits. We want that's I mean, I see those medals hanging behind you. That you're testing your limits. There's no guarantee you summit. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I can get there. But
yeah,
my triathlon coach asked me, going back to specificity, what are your top three goals in triathlon? Number one, qualify for Ironman World Championships in Kona. Number 2, qualify for Ironman World Championships in Kona. Number 3, qualify for Ironman World Championships. That was
Love
it.
it.
And so for 10 years, it was a pursuit. I'd get so close, so close. The way they qualify you for World Championships is if you go do a race, there's 3,000 people and there's 40 slots allocated to World Championships. For those who don't know how it's allocated to get there to the race, there's 40 slots allocated, say 5% of your age group is in that race, 5% of your 40 to 45 age group, 5% of the athletes, 5% of the 40 slots will go to your age group too. 5% of 40's 2 slots goes there. So the
Yeah.
top 2 in your age group is 200, 300, you know, get that. And I keep getting close. Ironman Texas, Ironman Canada, Ironman Florida, come back. My family's like, just make it, this. I'd be like, no. And I go back in the basement for another year and just train 5
Yeah.
hours looking at, and I think it's important to have that extreme focus. So here's a true statement. I never once in 10 years of pursuing it, looked at my phone. While I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. I'm saying how I did it. I never
Yeah.
once looked at my phone in the thousands of hours while on the bikes. I just wanted to think about, swim to Kona, bike to Kona, run to Kona. That's it. I never once read anything. I never once looked at a TV screen. I was on the bike thinking about the goal on there all those hours. Never check my phone. It's just that laser focus. So make sure it's not diluted with other things. And you don't really have to, I don't think, make it happen. It should be happening naturally. Like it's just
Yeah.
naturally there. Um, so that was a long standing goal. And then eventually Ironman, that was a goal. Speaking of, and I'll tell you kind of now what the next goal is. There's 3. It's kind of the Olympic gymnastics, Ironman World Championships. I'll tell you the third one in just a second.
Yeah.
So that second one was I get to Ironman Florida. Um, and you don't know when you finish, you cross the finish line. There's still other finishers. And you don't know if there's going to be 2
Yeah. Yeah.
slots or 1, 3 or 5 cross. And the next morning you come to the Ironman World Championship slot allocation. So I wake up the next morning, the night before, and I was 4th out of like our 350 or 400, 4th in my age group. And my family, friends are all texting me, did you make it? Did you qualify? I'm like, I don't know yet. I'll go to the breakfast tomorrow morning. We'll see. I said the first person in my age group, yeah, 100%, they got it. Second, 90%. Third, 50-50. Fourth, 10% maybe. Usually it doesn't roll down to fourth. Usually it's 2 or 3 maybe. I said,
Yeah.
so I got in there that morning and they start the oldest age groups are working their way down. And Joe, they get to my age group. And like in the male, 40 to 44, I just kind of put my head down, my heart's beating, and he waits, he pauses, and I just say it. He's like, there are 4 slots. And I just drop my head and oh, man. And I walk up there and they put the layer on. You got to commit then. Otherwise they roll it down to the next guy. If you don't commit
Yeah.
then, you got to pay it, put the layer around my neck. And I was like, man, this was for family. Because that's all my kids have known my whole life.
Yeah.
Basement, sweating. Literally, my daughter will come up and, with the little the beads of
Yeah.
sweat off my forehead. I'm just tucked down in air, riding and doing that. And so it's been a team thing. So that was goal 2. Big. You talk about big mountains. That was kind of
Yeah.
the second mountain. Now the third one is there's something that makes Ironman look weak. You're like, what? Ironman is a
Yeah.
2.4 miles, 112-mile ride, then marathon at the end, 26 miles, 26.2. Um, and but this other one, I don't know, you may have heard of it,
Yeah.
Ram.
I think I know where you're going. Yeah.
Ram. It's across America.
Yeah.
Yes, bike race, like it's a
Yeah.
literal race from, um, it goes from Oceanside, California to Annapolis, Maryland, about
Yeah.
3,000 miles, 175,000 feet of elevation gain through like the Rockies and
Yeah.
all this. There's also a race across France. That's another one. You go through all the Alpe d'Huez and the Tour de France things. You go from Mediterranean up to the English Channel and all that. But so that's something now that's on my radar, that I'm, because once you check that box, and that's what made me not thankful for, but not necessarily qualifying 92 Barcelona. I now see if I had to go out and try to qualify for Ironman World Championships again, knowing what it takes, knowing that I've already checked the box a little bit. Like if I'd gone to the Olympics, would I have the fire to try to get to 96 in Atlanta?
Yeah.
I checked that box. And so now the new thing is race across America. So I have a friend. Talk about surrounding yourself. He did RAM. He's a client. He's a great friend. We did Ironman World Championships together. Seriously, Joe, he will get on his bike. He did RAM. He'll get on his bike. He has 2 kids, put his kids to bed. He'll get on his trainer at night, 10 p.m. He'll ride straight to 10 a.m., 12 hours straight, and he'll go straight into work. He did a training camp in Arizona. It
Right.
was 20 hours riding, 2 hours sleep, 20 hours writing, 2 hours sleep, 20 hours writing. So in 64 hours, he had 4 hours of sleep. He's writing for 60 of those hours, but that's what it takes. The guy that won did it in 7 days, about 7 days. And he slept a total of 6 hours and 50 minutes over. But it's testing our limits, where there's
Yeah.
oxygen station, getting to the top of Everest. It's something like that. And maybe for anyone listening to this, you can also put a team together. So maybe we talk about a team at some point with Concurrent after or before I get to a billion. We'll see. But just, surrounding yourself with
Yeah.
those people. John, there's about 4 or 5 people in my life. His name's John, that I say raise my bar. It's hard. You need to find those people and surround yourself with those people. But he's someone that raises my bar. And it doesn't have to just be in physical. It can be in who can sharpen you character wise, who's going to make you a better, a more honest person, a more consistent person. All of that. Like surround yourself someone that sharpens character, sharpens you physically,
Yep.
healthfully, like food wise, all of that.
Yeah.
So that would be the next thing, Joe, would be, is that, but I don't want to commit to it yet, because I don't want to commit and not, and then kind of
Yeah.
not. Like, I want to say it's calling you, because that's the only way you're not going to burn out. If you just can't deny it, like you just answer the call. You can't manufacture that, because it's going to be another full-time job.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And I have a feeling that you could build a team here at Concurrent. I know a few people that I think would jump in on that.
I think Nate would support a concurrent race kit too. I think we can get
I
that
think
done.
he would. I think he would.
All right.
As we wrap this up, Mark, any final thoughts or comments? This has been great.
Hmm. Let's see here. I did write down a few things here. The best things in life choose you. You don't choose them. Geico, garbage in, garbage out. Good
Yeah.
in, out. And it's not about 1 to 2 years of Geico. It's about 1 to 2 decades of Geico. Be
Yeah.
consistent over the long term. And one thing I may kind of mention too, we've heard this before, kind of like how you do anything is how you do everything, right? Like if,
Yeah.
how I approach a business is how I approach gymnastics. It's how I approach Ironman. It's how I approach even just like the daily things in life, you know, brushing your teeth. It's like, so just, it's that consistency. Yeah, those are my things.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Mark. I think I got a lot out of this. I think any of our listeners are going to get a lot out of this, and I think one of the most important things I got out of this is I agree, strongly agree with you. Surround yourself with great people, and greatness is right there in front of you. And I'm happy that I can now surround myself with you too, and you could be on my team and help me get to my summits as well.
Can't wait. Can't wait to hear more about that as well and keep sharpening each other.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to What is Your Mountain? Mark Oliver's journey from competitive gymnastics to a successful career in financial advising highlights the power of discipline, resilience, and belief in yourself. His story reminds us that the lessons learned through struggle often become our greatest strengths. We hope Mark's insights leave you feeling motivated to face your own challenges head on. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow us and stay tuned for more meaningful conversations. Until next time, keep climbing, Concurrent.